To the executive producers of Survivor, how would you like to put your contestants to the ultimate test? By using our territory, together we could create the most ultimate challenge in Survivor history. Arid deserts cover about 20% of the world. Arid zones are covered by sand with a varying proportion from less than 2% in North and South America to more than 30% in Australia and as much as 45% in North Africa and Central Asia. Our location? The Arabian Desert, with a tropical climate, scarce resources, and merciless heat.
Help save our ecosystem from overgrazing by livestock, off-road driving, and human destruction of habitat. All profits from this production would go toward helping the ecosystems within this desert.
Overgrazing is when grazing on land becomes way overdone, and the vegetation on the land begins to die. This can cause the ground to be viable to erosion. It can destroy ecosystems for many animals that rely on things like grass as food. I know what you're thinking. How could anyone survive in the Arabian Desert? Is there even any vegetation there? Well, as a matter of fact, I'm glad you asked.
Some of the plant life include the goff tree, acacia tree, oriche, capers, juniper, alfalfa, and the famous desert rose.
Okay, sure, but not all vegetation is edible, right? So what kind of animals are we going to be seeing? We need that meat, we need that protein. Well, as a matter of fact, once again, I'm glad you asked. The desert contains animals such as the horned viper, the oryx, the Albanian wolf, the dromedary, and the sandcat. Now, I'm sure there are a certain amount of you who are thinking in your heads, there's nothing to do in the Arabian Desert. It's nothing but sand for miles. Well, what if we told you we had our own challenges planned out, and here's a little sneak peek of one of them. Let me introduce our challenge, the Rice Bag Sand Relay. Contestants will participate in a 2-team relay race in which each person will haul 2 50-pound rice bags through 75 yards of hot and frictional sand in blazing desert heat.
The winning team will receive the rice bags as food for their squad, as well as 4 gallons of water.
As in typical relay fashion, the contestants will run the required distance and their path will lead to the next teammate. Several contestants on the losing team will be eliminated from the competition.
Now, there are probably some out there who are saying 75 yards, that's nothing, I could do that, my grandma could do that. Well, imagine hauling those rice bags over your shoulders, you know what I mean? That would totally slow you down, not to mention going through the sand is a huge, unimaginably huge factor to a lot of people because a lot of people don't think of the terrain that they're running on. Running on sand, it's incredibly frictional. It's very hard to keep the same foot speed than on a flat, hard terrain. We truly think that this challenge will separate the men from the boys, the women from the girls, and the contestants to the survivors. Although we listed some plants and animals earlier, you're probably still worried about what our contestants are going to have to eat. Well, let Julian ease your mind.
The date palm is the most common plant in the Arabian Desert. The date palm's pollen can be used as food as well as medicine. This is important because it's going to be a crucial part of the survival of our contestants. The dominant animals in the Arabian Desert are felines such as the sandcat and the hyena, who aren't too kind when they're agitated. Special characteristics are the vast amount of sand, extreme heat, and lack of water, all of which attribute to the low amount of life in this biome.
Now, putting myself in the shoes of the producer of a famous television show, I understand why it would be concerning to hear about these conditions and then also place your contestants into them. It might be dangerous. However, we assure you that we would have a medical staff off to the side as well as a supply of food and water for anybody who has an emergency during filming. We would also like to bring up the idea that we could advertise this season as the most dangerous season ever, the ultimate season of Survivor, etc., all because the other seasons of Survivor have all been in water-based biomes in which resources for the contestants are within an arm's reach, resources such as shelter, water, food, etc. In our biome, resources are incredibly limited. There is limited food, limited water. The contestants will have a much harder time than normal, which will make it much more interesting to the viewers at home. Not only will this send ratings through the roof, this will also put Survivor higher on the list than it already is. Please consider it. In case you need more of a reason to go in on this project with us, perhaps I'll elaborate on some of our plans with the profits from this project. We're going to battle overgrazing by livestock, off-road driving, and human destruction of habitat, as these are all things that destroy vegetation, which is food for animals. With our profit, we will work to plant more vegetation and provide a more livable space for the animals within the biome. With your support, we could make a growing, thriving biome for the animals and wildlife within our habitat and could make a better life for animals around the world. Now, I could stand here and tell you all the financial benefits, why technically you should go in on this project, how technically there's no chance it's going to fail, but I think I'll just remind you that the ecological biomes around the world need our help. Scientists say we could have only 8 to 10 years before we cross that point of no return where we've truly destroyed the earth. If that's a fact that scares you like it scares me, you'll be investing right away. So please consider it heavily. Thank you for your time.